Rob here. Now, we're going to be looking at British Vogue because that's the set text magazine you've got to be looking at. So let's see who Vogue are as an institution. Alright, what kind of organisation are they? Alright, so essentially, British Vogue is a spin-off of the American magazine Vogue. Okay, as we can see, it's been around since August 1916, so 104 years at this point. Alright, it is owned by the parent company Conde Nast. That means that they are a subsidiary of Conde Nast. Now, if we look at some of these theories you can be using on this, right, let's have a look down here, right? If we go down to media industries, right, this means we need to be looking at this stuff. Power and media industries, James Curran and Gene Seaton, right? The fact that media is controlled by a small number of companies primarily driven by the logic of profit and power, right? Is it an example of that? Yes, definitely, because it's a conglomerate that owns lots of different magazine brands. Okay, what else can we have a look at? Minimizing risk and maximizing audience. David Hesmagulch, cultural industries by genre. So what kind of genre is Vogue? It is a woman's lifestyle magazine. Okay, lifestyle magazines are essentially a kind of advertising. All right, they are advertising products, so the adverts in the magazine are just as important as the articles. Okay, what they're trying to do is create a sense of an ideal self that is achievable through the consumption of consumer goods. You buy things and this makes you into the ideal self that you're trying to attain. Hesmagulch, the idea the largest companies, conglomerates now operate across a number of different cultural industries. Well, obviously it's a cross-platform brand. Okay, we'll get back to that in a bit. Okay, so as we said, it's a lifestyle magazine. It's creating a sense of ideal self. So here we need to be considering this. Stuart Hall, theories of representation. The idea that representation is the production of meaning through language, with language defined in the broader sense of a system of signs. So if Vogue is creating a sense of an ideal self, how is it doing that? How is it doing that? Through language, through written language, through visual language, through colour, through photography, through, mise en scène and composition and all that stuff. Right? The idea, the relationship between concepts and signs is governed by codes. Well, how does this language work? What is denoted? What is connoted? How do they use stereotypes that may reduce people to simple characteristics or traits? In other words, in this magazine, is there a very limited kind of representation? Okay, who is being represented, but equally who is not being represented? Okay, this can be looked at in terms of race and gender and social class, ability and disability, ethnicity, sexuality. Remember, the magazine we're looking at is July 1965, so obviously it's a less, for lack of a better word, woke culture, and it's going to have much more limited representations. Also consider the way the other is represented, the exotic, the foreign, when it's looking at places like Egypt, for example. How does that relate to Paul Gilroy and post-colonialism? Alright? So, inequalities of power, who is subordinate, who is excluded, who is other. Right? Ethnocentrism, it very much focuses on a kind of white perfection. Theories of identity. The media provide us with tools and resources we use to construct our identities. That in the past, these media tended to convey singular, straightforward messages about the ideal type of male and female identity. Well, that's very much true of Vogue from the 60s. Okay? Today, however, we get more diversity in terms of stars, icons, and characters to pick and choose from. We also need to consider feminist theory. We need to look at Lisbeth Van Zoonen and Bell Hooks and how women are being represented. Okay? Are they, how are women's bodies being displayed as objects to be looked at? Go to Lisbeth Van Zoonen before you go to Laura Mulvey. Okay? The mainstream culture, the visual and narrative codes used to construct the male body is very different from those used to objectify the female body. Okay? Again, this is sort of, maybe not pre-feminism, but the beginnings of feminism. Okay, so is there any way in which Vogue is sort of like feminist? Okay, that's something you want to consider, right? Where does sex and class come into this, and race? Okay, What we're looking at here again is gender performativity. How does the magazine create a performative sense of gender? How is femininity being performed? Okay, how is the gender roles being constructed? Okay, and again, we look at Paul Gilroy and we look at the exotic representations of the other and what is foreign. Okay, so as I said, Vogue, British Vogue's been around since 1916. It's owned by Conde Nast. So in terms of industries, it is a part of a conglomerate. It is a subsidiary of Conde Nast, which in itself is a subsidiary of Advanced Publications. Okay? It's saying here that it is one of the most profitable of all British magazines and one of the most profitable editions of Vogue other than the American and Chinese ones. So it's obviously very financially successful. Okay? Now, who will Conde Nast then? Well, this is Conde Nast, right? Conde Nast Britain is a spin-off of Conde Nast America. Look at all the brands they produce, okay? These are all magazine publishing brands. They're all lifestyle ones, okay? This makes them horizontally integrated because they are all different lifestyle and fashion magazines, essentially, right? You know, GQ Style is just the male equivalent of Vogue, right? They've all got a very high ABC1 profile, or I've not been able to find out exactly what it is. I think that's information you need to pay for, right? If we look at Vogue, for example, how do they describe themselves? Vogue is the fashion Bible. Since the launch of British edition in 1916, Vogue has been the preeminent fashion magazine. Today, Vogue continues to define fashion on multiple platforms, in print and digital editions, although its award-winning website, video content, social media channels and events. The arbiter of new trends, Vogue features the top fashion and beauty advertisers. Right? As you can see here, cross-platform brand. Facebook, Twitter, iPad and iPhone editions, Instagram, Snapchat. They've also got YouTube channels. They've got their own website, right? They are cross-platform brands now. If we look at Advance, as we can see, they are a conglomerate, right? Been around since 1922. They have all sorts of different companies that they own in all sorts of areas: media, communications, technology, education, right? So they are diversified. They operate in different sort of like, not just media sectors, but business sectors in general. Okay? So they own all sorts of different companies, right? Some of which are media companies, Discovery and Reddit. Charter Communications, what do they do? Internet, cable TV by the looks of it, right? Home phone, so they're a triple play company. They own internet, cable TV and home and quadruple play, in fact, mobile services as well. What's this? Right, okay, yeah. They're a publishing company as well, journalism as well. Yeah, so they own lots of local newspapers and things like that by the looks of it. So they are a horizontally integrated conglomerate, okay? Even though they're still family owned, okay? So Conde Nast is a subsidiary of Advance. Vogue is a subsidiary of Conde Nast, okay? Let's look at Vogue's media kit. This is what they send out to advertisers, okay? Now, what's interesting is that lifestyle magazines, especially women's fashion ones, have long been criticised for their lack of diversity, and they tend to focus on a particularly white representation of femininity. So we can bring in Bell Hooks and Kimberly Crenshaw on ideas of things like intersectionality, right? But currently, Vogue has stacked the top elements of British Vogue with black editors. Okay, so the editor-in-chief, Edward Newfell, something like that, OBE, right, or the British Empire, he is the editor-in-chief. Okay. Vanessa Kangori, MBE, she is the publishing director. Okay. So both got, honours. Okay. By having people of colour at the very top of the organisation, this is obviously an attempt to move it into the 21st century and make it more inclusive, right? More diverse. This further evidence of the fact that they are a cross-platform brand. They are diversified. This is about minimising risk and maximising profit by having, as the internet becomes more and more important and social media becomes more and more important and is taking up more of our time as a secondary media source, the classic media source of old, print, is falling by the side. Fewer and fewer people are buying magazines. So to diversify their brand and to make them more profitable and more diverse, they've moved into the digital realm. So you can get a digital version of Vogue on both a tablet and a mobile version. There is their website, which has got spin-offs of Miss Vogue, which is clearly aimed at a younger audience, and of course there's Vogue Video. They do also have a YouTube channel that goes with this as well. They also do events, okay, like fashion shows and things like that. Okay, they've got Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest. So they are a social media brand as much as they are a print and online one. Okay. As you can see, the print though is still doing very well. It's got a circulation of 192,212. That's 64% more than its closest competitor, which shows that it dominates the market. It has a readership of 861,000. Circulation is how many copies it sells every month, but readership is how many people read it. So we're looking at more than 2 people, well, more than that, yeah, 4 people. More than 4 people read every issue of Vogue. Why would that might be? It might get passed around the family. You might find it in doctors' waiting rooms and hairdressers and, nail parlours and tanning salons and anywhere else where women tend to go, and they will pick it up and they will read it whether they bought it or not. Okay, they are also doing very well online. Okay, 3.2 million monthly unique users of its online presence. Okay, that's pretty good, especially considering the average age of the reader is 40, or the user of the online service is 44, whereas 39 is the average age of its readers. This suggests that they are older women, right? They are probably professional. They are very, very upper middle class. They are, they have a lot of disposable income. They're doing well for themselves, okay? What's probably the case, though, is if they're not like that, then they aspire to be. They're aspirational. Okay, you might not be able to afford the things that are being advertised in the magazine, but you aspire to be able to do so whether you can or not. Alright? Where does the money to run this magazine come from? Well, most magazines get their money from their advertising. And this is especially true of Vogue, which gets more money from its advertising as a percentage than most magazines. And partly this is because it's expensive to advertise in Vogue. Okay, look at the prices of the different kinds of adverts in here. If you want a back cover, outside back cover, that's £48,560 per month to advertise on the back cover of Vogue. If you want a a standard 4-page gatefold, right? That's going to cost you 111,000. An inside gatefold of 4 pages is £161,090. That is a lot of money, okay? But it is perfect place to put your advertising. If you are Louis Vuitton, your perfect place to put your advertising is in Vogue. You're not going to put that in Woman's Weekly because that is the wrong target audience. They are too old, they do not have the disposable income, they're not interested in fashion. This is a fashion magazine. It's money well spent. Right? So that gives you some information about who Vogue are as a business. Okay? I will now do videos that analyze the various pages of our set text. I will put them on, like this one, on YouTube. You will be able to watch them. If you've got any questions, simply email me and I will try my best to answer them. But again, a little bit of quick Googling should be able to answer most of the questions that you need to answer. Don't forget, you've also got your textbooks you can go and look at. I'll catch you in the next video.